Sunjae and Im Sol are in a cab heading home. Im Sol asks how he managed to find her, and he explains he noticed her sleeping on the bus and saw her miss her stop. When they arrive, they say goodbye, and Im Sol realizes that Sunjae has always been there for her, almost like her secret hero. She decides this must be why she got a second chance at life, to make sure she doesn't miss any more chances, especially with him. Though Sunjae is hesitant to get close, Im Sol doesn't give up. She tries to share life's small joys with him, from showing him rainbows to sharing simple moments together. They even start walking to school together. Despite his claim that they can't be friends, his actions speak louder, especially as he's clearly flustered by her unexpected gestures, like saving him from an oncoming bike. They also bury a time capsule and make a promise to meet on January 1st, 2023. The day Im Sol knows he'll face a tragic fate. In one memorable moment, Sunjae gives Im Sol his tie, knowing he'll be punished for not wearing one. Tae-sung, who's starting to notice their closeness, gets jealous and tries to size Sunjae up. They're punished with a few laps by their teacher, sparking a rivalry as Tae-sung tries to keep up with Sunjae on the track. As the 2008 Olympics play out in the background, Sunjae's father, Yoon-deok, tries to avoid the games out of respect for Sunjae, though he can't resist watching. At the same time, he is not the only one trying to distract Sunjae from the ongoing Olympics. Im Sol invites him to the movies, and they spend the day together. Unfortunately, a false fire alarm at the theater forces them to leave, and they run into people watching the swimming match. A false fire alarm cuts their date short, and they end up watching the Korean swimming team win gold, moving Sunjae to tears. He later tells Im Sol he doesn't regret his swimming career, as it brought him so much happiness. Back on the walk home, they talk about new goals. Sunjae's now preparing for the national exam, and Im Sol offers to help him study. They spot her mom, Bok-soon, on a date and quickly hide. Elsewhere, Hyun-woo and Im Gyum share a moment as she buys him a new shirt, and Im Gyum starts realizing she might have feelings for him. At home, Sunjae reassures his dad that he's okay, even though Yoon-deok is pretending their TV is broken to avoid the Olympics. The next day, Im Sol heads to the police station, hoping to retrieve her lost phone. Unfortunately, they've only found her purse as they've been busy with a murder investigation. The crime scene is near the spot where Im Sol was attacked, and a memory flashes in her mind, suggesting her accident may have been more sinister than she thought. A man walks into a cab with her missing phone, hinting at a deeper mystery. In another part of town, Sunjae and Im Sol's brother, Im Gyum, meet up and cheer when South Korea wins gold. Im Gyum quickly recognizes Sunjae as the guy who brought a drunk Im Sol home and gets a bit protective. Sunjae starts following Im Gyum's orders, but Im Sol stops this as soon as she sees them. Im Gyum has a grudge against Sunjae as he thinks he got his sister drunk. To make matters worse, he is on team Tae-sung. His interest in Tae-sung sparks Sunjae's interest in his rival even more. He looks up Tae-sung's website and ironically wins a present for being his 100,000th visitor. Of course, Tae-sung sees this and messages Sunjae immediately to tease him. He also calls Im Sol, but she is unreachable. The love triangle continues to heat up as Tae-sung misses band practice, and the band's lead vocalist struggles to keep up. In Hyuk, noticing the tension, contemplates asking Sunjae to join the band. Eventually, Im Sol's father's memorial passes, and she reflects on her wish to save Sunjae. Afterward, she decides to learn to ride a bike, a goal her dad never got the chance to help with. Sunjae offers to teach her, though they bicker the whole time. She finally succeeds, and they share a light-hearted moment. With exams approaching, Im Sol tries to remember the details from her past, while Hyun-woo finds herself distracted by thoughts of Im Gyum. Tae-sung invites Im Sol to his band's performance, referring to her as his girlfriend, though they'd previously agreed to keep things neutral. Sunjae, invited to go shopping by In Hyuk, ends up buying the same jacket as Tae-sung, leading to an awkward encounter. Both boys try to impress Im Sol, who's oblivious and focused solely on Sunjae. Soon, it's time for the band's performance, but the lead vocalist doesn't show. In Hyuk convinces Sunjae to step in, and he gives a heartfelt performance that brings Im Sol to tears, reminding her of a future memory. Afterward, Sunjae is showered with praise, even by Mr. Kim, who sees potential in him. Im-sol races to catch Sunjae, who has left to avoid the crowd, and finds him at his gate. He gives her a new phone, explaining that he performed to win it for her. Instead of being thrilled, Im-sol is upset, telling him he should learn to be selfish and not worry so much about others. Sunjae is confused but decides not to confess his feelings, walking away instead. The next day, Im-sol is heading to the bus stop, listening to her iPod, when she hears a recording of a drunken confession from Sunjae, revealing his feelings. Shocked, she doesn't see an oncoming car, but Sunjae arrives just in time to pull her back to safety. He looks at her seriously and asks if she truly meant it when she said he could be selfish. Then he asks her to break up with Tae-sung. The story jumps forward to the future, where Im-sol listens to a radio show featuring Sunjae as the guest. He shares a story about meeting his first love during a summer rain shower, though he never reveals her identity. Back in the past, Sunjae rushes to protect Im-sol from Ga-hyun's bullying, only to find that Im-sol has already taken matters into her own hands. She's just discovered Tae-sung's ulterior motives for dating her, and she confronts him, then breaks up with him. Though Tae-sung is upset, Sunjae is thrilled when he overhears the news. He leaves In-hyuk and hurries off to find her. When he catches up with Im-sol, he confesses his feelings, leaving her flustered. She quickly hops on a bus, leaving him puzzled. Later, she can't stop thinking about why Sunjae likes her, even shedding a few tears while peeling onions. Her grandmother sends her to buy magyoli, a traditional rice wine. Outside the store, she bumps into Sunjae, who mistakenly thinks she's crying over her breakup and planning to drink away her sorrows. They argue over this, but then Imgum, her brother, misinterprets the situation, thinking Sunjae is trying to pressure her into drinking. He steps in with a flying kick, and the bottle spills all over Sunjae, who accidentally drinks it and passes out, revealing he can't handle alcohol at all. Imgum and Im-sol take Sunjae home and settle him in Imgum's bed. Im-sol tries to sneak in to fan him, but ends up hiding under the bed as Sunjae starts to wake up. Sunjae woke up to then find a hair under his bed, thinking it was a ghost. He was about to scream, but then Im-sol put her hand over Sunjae's mouth to stop him from screaming. When Imgum walks in, Im-sol hides underneath Sunjae's blanket. Both of them end up lying on the floor, pretending to be asleep, but Imgum quickly catches on. Im-sol tries to play it off as sleepwalking, but Imgum doesn't buy it. The next day, Im-sol talks to her friend Hyunwoo about Sunjae's feelings. Hyunwoo teases her, saying she led him on by spending so much time with him. Meanwhile, Sunjae tries to play it cool, secretly watching Im-sol at the library on In-hyuk's advice. That evening, Tae-sung comes by Im-sol's house to apologize. Though it's hard for Sunjae, he gives them space, but he can't help but worry, imagining the two getting back together. He ends up damaging his father's garden in his anxiety. But Im-sol has no intentions of rekindling things with Tae-sung, and she firmly says goodbye. On his way home, however, Tae-sung gets into an accident. The next morning, Im-sol says goodbye to her mom, assuming she's off on a trip with a new boyfriend. Im-sol is happy for her, promising to manage things at home. Later, Im-sol stops by the police station, trying to warn them about a potential threat, but the officers don't take her seriously. Meanwhile, the mysterious man who has her phone calls Im-sol's house, claiming he wants to return it, and her grandmother asks him to mail it. Back at the library, Sunjae continues to make subtle moves, like gently fixing her hair while she's asleep. When Im-sol wakes up, flustered, he invites her to a cheering event over the weekend, thinking it might cheer her up. He even promises to study harder if she agrees. At the event, they both get caught up in the excitement of watching the Korean baseball team win in the Olympics. They hug and hold hands, and a reporter captures them. Meanwhile, Tae-sung, recovering in the hospital, sees them hugging in TV and feels a pang of jealousy. Bok-soon, Im-sol's mom, is also at the hospital. Elsewhere, Hyunwoo stops by Im-sol's house with Chicken, hoping to hang out. But when he learns she isn't there, Imgum invites her to stay and watch the game. Hyunwoo finds herself drawn to Imgum, though her conflicted feelings cause her to leave in tears. Back at the cheering event, Sunjae confesses to Im-sol again, sharing how he used to hate the rain until he met her. She's about to respond when his phone starts ringing. It turns out to be Tae-sung, who urgently asks Sunjae to bring Im-sol to the hospital. At the hospital, Im-sol learns her mom is ill and needs surgery. Bok-soon wasn't dating anyone. The man was her doctor and old friend. Feeling guilty, Im-sol thanks Tae-sung and encourages him to improve himself. She then tells Sunjae to forget his feelings for her, not wanting him to be hurt when she eventually has to leave. The day of Im-sol's accident soon arrives, and she is determined to stay indoors. But when Sunjae texts her, she decides to leave, even though she initially says she can't make it. She remembers Sunjae's words about mistaking his first love for a delivery person and realizes he was talking about her. Rushing to meet him in the rain, she encounters the strange cab driver. The scene cuts as Sunjae finds her umbrella lying in the middle of the road, leaving us to wonder what happened to her.